happy to be here at the inaugural function of this very important workshop at national level, which is being conducted for 2 days, impact of climate change on water resources of Upper Indus River Basin initiative. Of course, sponsored by our Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India, and Indian Institute of Geomagnetism, Mumbai. Also, whatever we could do from our own university, we have tried to facilitate this workshop. And I'm sure, I have been witness to many of the programs of whether it's the School of Earth Sciences or specifically the Department of Earth Sciences or any other department, geography or any other department in this particular school. I have been, very much associated with the programs of this school, whether it was on disaster management, whether it was connecting our students, to the various activities of environmental science, whatsoever. With confidence, I can say whatever activities are being conducted, whether it's the Earth Science Department, whether it's the Geography Department, whether it's the Disaster, Management Department, they are of great importance, not only to our university, to our society, to our UT, but even at the national level and even at the international level, because why we took this in Y20, why we have taken the main theme as climatic change. Dr. Nisar Saab, the registrar, he already explained why, because many of our senior faculty are involved in so many research projects funded by whether it's DST, whether it's any other organization, and these all these projects have importance at the national level and even at the international level. So we want to number one, the expertise which we have over here, and we also wanted to showcase the type of research work or the type of facilities we have in this university to the G20 countries. You'll be happy to know that around 15 delegates from G20 countries will be visiting university along with the other G20 participants and delegates from our who are based in our country, our own reputed speakers on climatic change will be coming, scholars will be coming, other officers from Government of India will be coming, ministers will be coming. So this was only possible when we knew that our School of Earth Sciences is very robust and it has that expertise. So I'm happy that this another particular program is being organized over here. That's 2 days national workshop. Definitely the recommendations which will come up, we'll try. I will ask Professor Parvez to see and just have a consultation with Professor Manzoor also, just see how we can put up these recommendations in our upcoming Y20 program, so that, because it's a very important theme, as I can see, so that somewhere we can also show how our university is concerned, not only for the Y20 function but also for the other concerned themes. Very important to see the theme One Earth, One Family, One Future. And if there's one theme, I think this completely fits into this insightful vision. If we have to see the one future, it is the climate change, which is very important and is concern for all of us. Today, not only do countries across the globe realize the importance of tackling climate change with stronger commitments and innovative policies and programs, Even individuals largely recognize the disastrous consequence of climate change on different aspects of human and animal life on planet Earth. I would just like to share, one of our neighboring university is organizing a program on climate change and feminization of poverty. When I refer that inclusion of gender is important, I'm referring to these important aspects, because it has a direct, both of these themes are directly related to each other. Climatic change definitely has concern on poverty, and it does have concern on feminization of poverty, and to include women and children with the themes wherever we conduct workshops, it will definitely make a change. Because when I talk to connect with the society, to connect with the community, definitely these are made to, definitely, I don't have any reservations about that. Men, mainly, the men are the think tanks. Now of course the women are coming forward, maybe at the administration level also and other levels also. But when I say women and children, it's very important to keep them engaged at the grassroots level. It makes difference, and it definitely makes difference. About the children, we have to make them aware at schools, what type of strategies they have to adopt towards this climatic change, how they can make the difference, how they have to make aware themselves, how they have to make aware the society. Small things at their own community level, at the grassroots level. Have not to cut not to cut a tree, plant a tree at least once a year, or they should plant a tree, something like that. And specifically about women also. But having said that, I think a very important dimension that India's G20 presidency has added to this fight against climate crisis is the engagement of youth in dialogue and conversation and climate change. So again, I think this is one of the wonderful themes where the youth is being engaged, because the future of a country, the future of any disaster to be tackled, our youth has to do it. The policies are there, our researchers have done it. You have given your concern, others have given their concern, but the dialogue has to be taken forward, and there have to be policy implications, there have to be checks and balances, which definitely where the youth has to be involved. So I think it's rightly thought of in our G20 presidency, where the youth is being involved at such a large level in each and every theme. Not only dialogue and conversation, it's also the involvement of youth in policy planning concerning mitigation of climate change impacts, which has been significantly emphasized on. And this is very important, because more than anyone else, it is the future of youth which is at stake in this wholesome problem of climate change.
In recent times, we are seeing all across the Indian subcontinent and in the Himalaya, I'll come a bit later, that there is a deficit precipitation from monsoon is coming. Not only that, monsoon is shifting westward, and hence there will be deficit amount of precipitation occurring over the northeastern region, and possibly good thing for Kashmir region, that here you will have encroachment of monsoon if there is a sudden dynamic monsoon manifestation is happening because of the warming sea surface temperature. It's good initiative by School of Earth System Science, because in the present dialogue of the Earth Sciences, we are looking for the Earth System Science as an integrated complex process rather than individual subject of geology and many others. And this is very good initiative in that sense. We have to understand the precipitation patterns over the region, because here observation is the biggest problem in the Himalayan region. And this valley is very uniquely different than the rest of the Himalayas. In rest of the Himalayas, in one elevation dependent warming which is happening, its upper elevations warming rates are more than the lower elevation of the foothills of Himalaya. But in case of valley, the elevation dependent warming, when we are talking, your valley is warming more than the higher reaches of Samsabari and Pir Panjal, because this valley caps the atmospheric flow. It doesn't let this interaction happen, the atmospheric flow, and it caps it. So your vertical temperature profile very uniquely different than the rest of the Himalayan region. And that is very important to understand when you are talking of the extreme events in terms of temperature, precipitation changes, and by virtue of that it will have a huge impact on the crop, impact on the agriculture, and finally this impact lead to the water resources. That's what is the theme of this Upper Indus Basin presently. Even the researcher from this area itself, Professor Sakil Romsu, has published very good work of shifting of the liquid precipitation. So solid precipitation is reducing, we are going to the liquid precipitation. So the region which is more prone to the solid precipitation, if it goes for the liquid precipitation, it will have another kind of ramifications for the water holding over the region, and that is going to become the crisis, as rightly the producer told, that water is going to be the crisis over the region, and that is imperatively going to have that. And then you will have a vertical atmosphere column which will be more drier, and if it's more drier, and hence you need much more amount of moisture to be filled it up and then ultimately condense this. Lifting at cloud is going to be higher, particularly because of the warming and the lighter atmosphere, the cloud lifting condensation level. We have seen that clouds are forming at the higher elevations now. And by virtue of clouds are lifting higher, you will have a different kind of mechanism leading to the precipitation forming mechanism over the orographic forcings, in particular in the Himalayan foothills of Himalayas. Socio-economic forcings, yes, all of we are aware of that it will have a huge economic forcing. Keeping these all complexity in Himalaya in mind, in 2012 we have discussed about with ECMOD that we should come up with the Upper Indus Basin network, and all of us know that data sharing in the Upper Indus Basin or Indus Basin countries is not possible for various regions. So at least we have started that. Can we share the knowledge? Knowledge is very important. So we have to start sharing the knowledge across the countries, and that's what the chapter came into the existence. Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, and China, and all four of these chapters. So this is an informal platform where the researchers who are working over the Indus are sitting together, and at least they are talking over the knowledge which has developed across the system. And that is the very primitive beginning was done in 2012, and now I'm very glad that this August gathering, which are the experts of the different fields, are sitting together and contributing towards the Upper Indus Basin network contribution. And by virtue of that, we can have very many policy documents, which we already did couple of the 100 main questions. Recently we did that. What is the 100 main problem of the Upper Indus Basin? And that is very imperatively important for people to know that what are these imperative questions what are across in the Himalaya. And let me tell you, Himalaya is a laboratory, natural laboratory, where many researchers can think of working together. Well, in this Upper Indus Basin, gender remain a issue. We work. Gender is not the participation of more women. Please don't interpret it like that. Gender is how you make it inclusive for a woman to work in this kind of health, education, and all those sectors. So that we are still working in this Upper Indus Basin network, and I can see that Kashmir University has a very huge mass which can contribute for the gender research in the Upper Indus Basin network, and that is the one of the reason me and Professor Jilani will keep discussing in continuation. Women and Children is very good initiative by Honorable Vice Chancellor to include in the Upper Indus Basin, as told by previous speakers, that we have to look for the public policy that how women and children, in particular with the changing climate forcings, will have an impacts in the coming time. That is imperatively important. Even education shifting also we have seen somewhere because of the adverse conditions. There is a possibility of this. Another important point which I want to tell about the urban settling. I have studied the flood over the Kashmir, in particular Jhelum flood in 2014, I think, and 13, and that is peculiarly Professor Sakil is here, he knows it, flooding. This is no flood which is conventionally understood as a meteorological flood or agricultural flood. It is purely an urban settlement which is meant for 100 people. Now there are 1,000 people or 10,000 people are coming in. Now the groundwater exodus or groundwater exit is kind of blocked, and that is leading to the urban flooding. So same amount of precipitation which was used to happen earlier, not used to bring the flood, but dynamically now in the present scenario, what's happening that this kind of situation where the more stress on the system is there, you have the urban flooding system is coming. So keeping in overall in view that we have to understand the physical processes also which are changing, because there is more energy available in the atmosphere because of the global warming. Higher temperatures brings more energy available for any perturbation to grow, and in this perturbation, if they are growing, they will be more inclined to bring in the cloudburst. In particularly, I don't know in Kashmir Valley cloudbursts are there, but we found now there is an increase in cloudburst happening in 1,000 meter to 2,000 meter, because this belt across the Himalaya is bringing more intense cloudburst event, because dynamically they have orography, and once the convection is available for this small perturbations to go in vertical, orography locks it, and then you have a lot of cloudburst events happening. Earlier cloudbursts were not reported because they were happening in the extreme region, but now it is impacting the downstream habitat. It will impact that. Another things which we found in the network, that there is species migration is happening. At least in central Himalaya, we found that oak, cheer pine is taking over oak. So there is species interaction, cheer pine is coming over and oak is going down, and hence it has a very long impact on the micrometeorological feedback mechanism over the region also. If this is happening, so your settlement, your species migration will change. Third thing is the elevation dependent warming, which is very imperatively important. If this is happening, your snow line will come down, your vegetation line leading to that will come down, and if vegetation lines comes down, your species migration will also be coming down. So these are all kind of a feedback mechanism is happening. With these brief critical words, I am very happy again that I'm in the Kashmir University and enjoying the Kashmir University weather, which is this is the best time to coming, and I'm hoping that after this meeting we can have a policy document, and I'm requesting Honorable Vice Chancellor that if a white paper based on these recommendations can be put up in the forthcoming G20, which she is hosting here in the Kashmir University, that will lead to a public policy opening for the governance and the further issue. So I'm looking forward for this gathering, and I congratulate School of Earth Sciences, so making this very good event.
At the outset, on behalf of my Honorable Vice Chancellor and University of Kashmir, I welcome the dignitaries and revered guests from different parts of the country to this beautiful part of the planet, which we call the Kashmir. And in this planet we have University of Kashmir, which is more beautiful than the surroundings of the Kashmir. Probably you may feel it. And when we come to today's topic of climate change, I congratulate Department of Earth, School of Earth Sciences, and particularly Dr. Bali and his team, Professor Jilani, for organizing this 2 days workshop in University of Kashmir. And we are thankful to the guests also who have traveled long distances to reach the University of Kashmir. And we all know that when we talk about the climate change is an issue, it is a global issue now. And we know that it is probably, I take it as a human-induced phenomena, which is now become the global crisis at the world level. And probably it will in reverse boomerang the human population only. And we will see that the humans who are responsible for the climate change or global warming, it will ultimately bounce back and affect the human population. And unfortunately, as a student of sociology, when I see it, I see that more than a scientific or disruption crisis, it will probably affect the underprivileged and marginalized societies of the human population. Because when we see that rich and upper middle class people, they make a way during the crisis. And example is with us in the recent COVID crisis, when we have seen that good number of rich people have flew from our country to other parts of the world to avoid the COVID crisis. Same will be true probably about the climate change. When we see that about the global warming, most probably it will also hit the water resources besides the food scarcity and other problems associated with it. We see that probably it will affect the human fertility, human mortality also, and ultimately it will result in the demographic changes of the world. And it will not only affect the marginalized societies or the poor countries, probably it will become a crisis between the different, it will become a global conflict also between the rich and the poor countries, or the developing and the developed countries. I foresee such crisis in future. And when we come to the climate change and the water crisis, and particularly the present topic, it is being all-time talked that the next world war, where probably it will be on the water only, it will be on the water resources. When we theoretically speak, and probably practically, we also see that the water crisis is the most crucial crisis at present global world. And we are grateful that you have chosen this topic. Very recently, when Professor Jilani has talked that this is a run-up activity for the Y20 event which is being organized by the University of Kashmir, I had attended the first meeting at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and because in the country 15 institutions have been given the responsibility to hold the Y20 meeting, and Kashmir University is one among the 15 countries in the world, in 15 institutions in the country which has been given this responsibility. And when I was asked to choose the topic, I have chosen the climate change for University of Kashmir. And when I was asked that why you are choosing the Y20, this climate change, my responsible as a naive student in geography and earth sciences was that because Kashmir has the highest number of glaciers in the whole country rather in the Himalayan range. So we will prefer the climate change topic for University of Kashmir, and fortunately this topic was assigned to the University of Kashmir for Y20 consultation. And for the general awareness of our dignitaries from outside the valley, we know that University of Kashmir is the oldest university in this part of the country. It has been established, we have born in 1948, and in 1969 we have bifurcated into the University of Jammu and University of Kashmir. And we, being the oldest university in the UT of J&K, are the biggest contributors, academic contributors in the map of J&K. And we at present are the NAC accredited A+, and with a CGPA score of 3.31. And we have also an NRF ranking of 53rd. We have been chosen as excellence centers. Few excellence centers have been chosen for the University of Kashmir. We are chosen by University Grants Commission. We have a Center for Potential for Excellence in Biodiversity, and we have a DST Excellence Center in the Glaciology. So University of Kashmir, under the leadership of our Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Nilofer Khan, we are now trying to compete with the University of Excellence also in near future, and hopefully in next NAC A accredited we may try for our NAC A++, inshallah.
I feel honored, and I welcome you all and hope that you will have a pleasant stay in this beautiful valley. Department of Earth Sciences has always been in forefront to organize such events, and we have a small history of around 23 years of our existence. The department was established in the year 2000, and we started our the research and classwork was started in 2001. And in this journey of around 20 years, we have around 500 publications in very reputed high impact factor journals of the country and abroad. We have completed around more than 24 research projects, and our faculty have been awarded and have been given a lot of recognition worldwide. And in this in this journey, I have been a small part of it, but my colleagues like Professor Jilani, Professor Shakil, Professor Dr. Riaz, and others, their contribution is equally recognized, and we are thankful to our collaborators countrywide and worldwide that we have been doing very good job as far as research is concerned, and our publications, our research projects, and our generation of funds speaks about volumes about that. I hope that the brainstorming sessions which are going to follow immediately after this inaugural function will be very beneficial for the society in general and the scientific community in particular, especially our students and scholars.
We all know that climate change is a global phenomenon, and the mountain ecosystem are more vulnerable. We have enough evidences supporting the negative impact of climate change on the availability of freshwater resources. Climate change has greatly impacted the water resources of the Himalayas in general and upper Indus Basin in particular. Erratic behavior of the precipitation, retreat of glaciers, attenuation, drawing, and shifting of peak flow to early spring season when the demand of water is less, decrease in groundwater recharge, increase in sediment load in streams, increase in hazards including flooding, landslides, avalanches, are some of the major concerns of the climate change. All these concerns pose great threat to food security and livelihood of millions of people living in this fragile mountainous ecosystem. Let me share the symposium themes with the dignitaries on the dais and the esteemed guests. We have invited 15 scientists from prestigious institutions of the country who are the real stalwarts of the international and national reputation. If we will talk about any ranking of any type, whether it is Stanford ranking or it is recently started the research.com ranking, any of the ranking, all those resource persons fall in that ranking. We have 7 technical sessions on all aspects of climate change, on water resources in upper Indus Basin, including water resources, cryosphere, hazards, air pollution, data quality. Our Vice Chancellor, we know that all of us, that she has a real vision of linking science to society and bridging the gender inequality gap. In this workshop, so we have a technical session on managing gender socio-economic impacts through adaptation measures to discuss the impact of climate change on women and children. We'll try to focus on that also. We have kept one session on as panel discussion to share the research work, knowledge carried out in the region, and to identify the research gap in upper Indus Basin to prepare a policy document which we will publish and share with the university, UT, and central government for its implementation.